I would like to add, there's always got to be some vision in the future. The vision may change, and that's okay, and that's normal, actually. Companies will revise their vision or create a new one before they achieved their old one. But they've got to have a clear goal in the future that everyone's aligned around, the relevant people care about personally, something that is fulfilled through the vision. They can connect their work back to the vision and see what's their role in delivering the vision. That's part of the role of the entrepreneur, is to get everyone to see all that and discover that and make it about the vision and then stand for that.
When you look back at Mekong Capital, at your own journey, what were the challenges, the turning points, and how did you get this vision to be the unifying focal point for the team?
Early on, starting in 2001, we really had no vision. We had, I guess, some intentions to add value and to our companies and to be the first fund to invest in private companies in Vietnam. But we didn't really have clear, measurable results in the future that we had committed ourselves to. We just thought that focusing on private companies and trying to add value would somehow lead to success, but it didn't. For the first 5 or 6 years, we were trying really hard to add value to these investments. We were, doing things like lean manufacturing and Six Sigma and trying a lot of stuff, doing a lot of work for our companies, like writing job descriptions for them and giving them the job descriptions. But it just had no impact. At the beginning, we believed it would work, but after 5 or 6 years, it just became apparent that a lot of these companies weren't growing and they weren't hitting their targets. When we looked at the data, around 1/3 of our investments were on track and 2/3 were not. And then at first I thought that I'm not a good leader. And I thought, oh, Vietnamese people are too different. I grew up in America and maybe I don't understand Vietnamese culture. I thought, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm not a natural leader. And I was stuck. The turning point for me was in June 2007. I went to Singapore and I participated in the Landmark Forum. And my Landmark Forum leader was Purani. And I discovered that I'm the source of it all. Not like there's something bad, but I started to have a lot of power that I didn't know that I had. And immediately started to have some new conversations with our team members. And I started to take responsibility for some things where I had previously been the victim and started to create some sort of integrity in our organization. And it just started from there and kept building. One thing led to another. And then we engaged in a 3-year transformation program that both you, Dr. Ramesh, and Purani led together. And it was a success. It was harder than what I wanted it to be. It took 3 years, really. And at first, we didn't have a lot of support for this internally within Mekong. People didn't understand, why are we transforming? Why do we need to create these new core values? And why do we need to be responsible all of a sudden? So there were some challenges at first, but we persisted. By the end of 3 years, it was working. By 2010, we were actually much more effective at everything. What investments we made, how we added value, our companies were performing better, our team was just more effective. And then it sustained and we just built on that from 2010 onwards.
So then, Chris, what was that enduring quality or the North Star that kept you on track? Because when you started the transformation process, things didn't necessarily go the way you wanted. There were challenges, right? Yeah. But what had you stay on course?
Relentless perseverance towards the vision. Part of that transformation process is that in the middle of it, we created a vision, and it took us 14 days, but it worked. We had an alignment process, and then over a 6-month period, we finally had co-created this vision. That was probably a critical turning point, that now we had something very clear and specific in the future that we were standing for, and we gave our word to it and just basically didn't back down. And then after that, make it all about the vision, and people would have a choice. Do they choose that they want to be in a company that this is the vision or not? And do they choose this vision for themselves? And maybe it wasn't right for everyone, but some people definitely did choose it. and we gave our word to it. So it's a matter of integrity. Like I promise that you can rely on me to do whatever I need to do to contribute and cause this vision to be achieved. And then, as more and more people, created a powerful relationship to their own word and choosing the vision, then we had more and more people who were organized around it. But I guess at the core, I had an unrelenting perseverance around the vision and just didn't back down from it. And whenever obstacles come up, I make it about the vision, not about something else.
That's right. So it's almost like you became that vision, because that was the most important thing to protect and take care of. Do you find that an entrepreneurial mindset could be useful for people who work in corporates as employees? Is that something that they can use on a day-to-day basis?
Certainly, yes. One dimension that we've seen about more successful companies is that those that can delegate down decision-making to the front lines, basically they can adapt and grow faster. Even the entrepreneurial thinking of making business decisions rather than having to follow strict rules. The companies where the intentions or goals are clear, including the vision, they can rely on people to make the best choices or decisions around what will lead to the vision and delegate down the decision making. Of course, those companies do perform much better. So for example, in the past, one of our investments is called Mobile World, and they were our first investment to really embrace transformation. Part of the way that they did it, what they got early on, was the importance of really cascading things down to the front lines, including the culture and the core values, but also the decision making. And so they were able to become Vietnam's largest retailer, in part because they were able to delegate and rely on their team very much on the front lines when their competitors couldn't. Their competitors were very top down. The CEO had to decide everything, and then everyone had to follow the CEO's instructions, and often they weren't implemented well. But in Mobile World, they were able to open 50 or more stores per month and rapidly adjust to the market because they were able to trust their people to make those decisions without even having to go back to the head office. So they were able to operate on a much larger scale and conquer the market.
That's a great case study, how a company can unleash the entrepreneurial acumen of their team, as well as delegate the decision rights so that they are making those choices on a day-to-day basis because they're clear of the vision, they're clear of the direction, and they're just getting their job done inside of that big picture.